Here's something nobody tells you about confidence. The harder you try to fake it, the more obvious it becomes. You've probably heard "fake it till you make it" 1,000 times, but what if I told you that's exactly what's keeping you stuck? What if the secret isn't pretending to be confident, but understanding what real confidence actually looks like? Today, I'm going to show you 5 game-changing principles that will transform how you show up in the world. These aren't tricks or hacks. They're fundamental shifts that create genuine, unshakable confidence from the inside out. The first thing you need to understand is this: authenticity beats perfection every single time. When you're faking confidence, you're essentially wearing a costume that doesn't fit. You're constantly worried about whether people can see through it, whether you're saying the right things, whether you look the part. But here's what I've learned: people connect with realness, not polish. Think about the last time someone made a mistake in public and handled it with grace. Maybe they spilled something during a presentation and made a joke about it, or admitted they didn't know an answer instead of BSing their way through it. Didn't you respect them more in that moment? That's because genuine confidence isn't about having all the answers. It's about being comfortable with not having them. When you drop the mask and show up as yourself, flaws and all, something magical happens. People stop judging you and start relating to you. The second shift is understanding that confidence and fear can coexist. Most people think being confident means not being scared, but that's completely backwards. The most confident people I know are terrified half the time. The difference is they've learned to act in spite of their fear, not in the absence of it. When you're faking confidence, you're trying to eliminate fear completely. But when you're building real confidence, you're learning to dance with it. You start to see fear as information, not instruction. It tells you that something matters to you, that you're about to grow, that you're pushing your boundaries. Instead of running from that feeling, you lean into it. You say, "I'm scared, and I'm doing this anyway." That's where real power lives.
Here's the third principle that changes everything. Your internal dialogue shapes your external reality. The conversation you have with yourself determines how you show up in every situation. When you're faking confidence, your inner voice is usually saying things like, "Don't mess this up," or "I hope they don't figure out I don't belong here." But genuine confidence comes from rewriting that script. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, you focus on what you're bringing to the table. Instead of hoping to fit in, you're curious about how you can contribute. This isn't about positive thinking or affirmations. It's about changing the fundamental question you ask yourself from "How do I avoid looking stupid?" to "How can I add value here?" The fourth transformation is about redefining success and failure. When you're faking confidence, you're playing not to lose. Every interaction becomes about maintaining your image, avoiding embarrassment, keeping up appearances. But real confidence comes from playing to learn and grow. You start measuring success differently. Did you try something new? Did you speak up when it mattered? Did you stay true to your values? Those become your victories, regardless of the outcome. Failure stops being this terrifying monster and becomes feedback. It becomes data about what works and what doesn't. When you shift from protecting your ego to expanding your capabilities, confidence becomes a natural byproduct of your courage to experiment with life. The fifth and most powerful principle is understanding that confidence is a practice, not a destination. When you're faking it, you're trying to arrive at some magical place where you'll finally feel confident all the time. But that place doesn't exist. Even the most confident people have moments of doubt, insecurity, and uncertainty. The difference is they've learned to see confidence as something they do, not something they have. They have practices, routines, and habits that help them show up powerfully even when they don't feel it. Maybe it's taking a few deep breaths before a big meeting. Maybe it's reminding themselves of their values before making a difficult decision. Maybe it's simply choosing to speak their truth even when their voice shakes. Now, here's where this gets really practical. Real confidence shows up in small, everyday moments. It's choosing to raise your hand in a meeting even though your idea isn't fully formed. It's saying no to something that doesn't align with your values, even if it disappoints someone. It's admitting when you don't understand something instead of nodding along. It's wearing what makes you feel good instead of what you think others expect. These moments might seem insignificant, but they're where confidence is actually built. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, growth over comfort, truth over convenience, you're making a deposit into your confidence account. The beautiful thing about this approach is that it's sustainable. When you're faking confidence, you're constantly exhausted from maintaining the facade. But when you're building real confidence, you're energized by your own growth. You stop looking to other people for validation because you're too busy becoming the person you actually want to be. You stop comparing yourself to others because you're focused on your own journey. You stop waiting for permission because you've learned to trust your own judgment. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about one situation in your life where you've been trying to fake confidence. Maybe it's at work, in relationships, or in social situations. Now ask yourself, what would it look like to show up authentically in that situation? What would you do differently if you weren't worried about maintaining an image? What truth would you speak if you trusted that your genuine self is enough? The path from fake confidence to real confidence isn't about adding more to who you are, it's about subtracting everything that isn't actually you. It's about peeling away the layers of who you think you should be and getting comfortable with who you actually are. Because here's the secret that changes everything. You don't need to be more confident, you need to be more you. And when you finally give yourself permission to do that, confidence becomes as natural as breathing. So stop performing for an audience that's mostly in your head. Stop trying to be the person you think the world wants you to be. Start being curious about who you actually are and what you actually have to offer. Because the world doesn't need another fake, confident person. It needs the real you, with all your quirks, fears, insights, and possibilities. That's where your true power lives. That's where real confidence begins.